The Chargers getting him for pretty much the equivalent of $10,000 in a Gatorade machine in a locker room. You can't complain about that whatsoever, and this is the definition of a steal. So originally, I was going to do the biggest winners and losers of this most recent 2024 NFL Draft, but the more I thought about it when I was gathering information and research for this video, and I was looking at all the players every team selected, that idea, it sounded boring to me for multiple different reasons, but the main one is because it seems like everybody does that video, and you hear people talk about it on ESPN nonstop. And most people out here, they have the same winners and losers. So I figured, hey, why not? Let's spice things up a little bit, and we're going to talk about the biggest steals of the NFL Draft. And there's one sleeper in particular here that I had my eyes on heading into this draft, and even he fell farther than what I thought he was going to go. He's a quarterback that got selected in the 7th round. I love this kid, love everything he's about on and off the field. We got a lot to talk about in this video. If you like football content videos like this, it's relatively simple. Consider subscribing. Join our amazing football community. We'd love to have you here. If you don't want to subscribe, that's cool too. But all right, Matt, blah, blah, shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, premise of this video is relatively simple. Let's start things out in the 1st round, and we're going to work our way down to the 7th round. With the 13th pick in the NFL Draft, the Raiders took no other than Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. To me, as far as it goes for overall prospect, talent-wise, regardless of position, I think Brock Bowers was easily in the top 5. I also want to throw this in there. I think what happened with Kyle Pitts getting selected, when was it, 4th overall, that also affected Brock Bowers' draft stock. Because I think a lot of teams have paid attention to how Pitts has fared out with the Falcons, and they're like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't take a tight end that high. That's my theory on this. Regardless, the Raiders, you get one of the best players in the NFL Draft at 13. There's no complaints whatsoever. Why this is also such a great pick for the Raiders, as we all know, they've had some problems with players in the past. With getting Bowers, you're not going to have any off-the-field problems, not even to the slightest. All this guy knows is hard work. And if you had to ask me right now, who would I take, Kyle Pitts or Brock Bowers? I'm taking Bowers. That's how special of a player I don't think he's going to be. No. That's how special of a player he already is. His game is going to translate over to the NFL with ease. He's not going to have any problems whatsoever. I don't want to make these comparisons so early on, but he does have that similar body frame to a Rob Gronkowski, and here's the scary part about that. I think he's faster than Rob Gronkowski. He's got just as good as hands as Gronkowski, and people forget Gronkowski, man. If that ball hit his fingertips, he wasn't dropping it. He has wide receiver skills and wide receiver speed, but he's built like a tank. He's a rare specimen. I could sit up here for the next 5 minutes ranting and raving on Brock Bowers. I love him, love what he's about. I think you get the point. Moving on down here to 17, the Vikings. They got the edge rusher out of Alabama, Dallas Turner. I've been watching film on Dallas Turner ever since he was a freshman at Alabama. I'm telling you right now, he is just as good as Will Anderson. Anderson's production might have looked better at Alabama as far as it goes for his stats, but Turner, man, his game, it fits the NFL so well. He's an athletic freak that I think off the ball is quicker than Anderson. He's 6'3", roughly, what is he, about, and we'll say 240, 250 pounds, give or take. He ran a 4.46 40-yard dash and has a 40-inch vertical. To get a guy at 17 that easily should have went in the top 10, that's a steal in my book. I'm not going to label this as a big-time steal due to the fact most people had him falling late 1st round, early 2nd round. Nate Wiggins, cornerback out of Clemson, watch out for him. Baltimore Ravens picked him up. His length and speed as a cornerback, it's scary, man. Heading into round number 2, pick number 40, the Philadelphia Eagles. We've already talked about him a lot in yesterday's video. You already know who he is. Cooper DeJean, cornerback out of Iowa. I'm not going to sit up here and rave and rant on this guy's game too much because you've heard everybody talk about him the past couple of days. Him falling out of the 1st round is arguably the biggest head scratcher of this entire NFL draft. It doesn't make any sense. The dude's flat out amazing. He's got insane ball skills. I assume, and this is the only thing I can assume, the one knock on him is teams aren't so certain about him being the lockdown corner that some people think he could be in the NFL. I've heard some people say that he'll probably play safety in the NFL. It doesn't matter. This guy's an all-around athlete. He was a star on the track and field team. He scored over 1,800 points in his high school basketball career. That's ridiculous itself. On the football field, he can play anywhere. Oh yeah, almost forgot to throw this in there. He played quarterback in high school and had over 3,400 passing yards. talents. Some people that walk on this earth, they are simply good at everything they do, and that is no other than Cooper DeJean. 52, A.D. Mitchell, former Georgia and Texas wide receiver. He's going to the Colts. I myself had a first-round grade on A.D. Mitchell for multiple different reasons. He ran under a 4.4 40-yard dash. I believe to be exact, it was a 4.34. I could be wrong on that. Correct me if I am. And also, he's a really good route runner. Why I like him so much, though, is because of his body frame. He's 6'2", 210 pounds. He looks like an NFL wide receiver. A lot of these guys come out of college, not so much. Now, am I going to go as far as to saying he's the next Randy Moss? Heck no, absolutely not. But to get him late in the second round, I'd be pretty happy about that. Next up in the fourth round with the 123rd overall pick, the Houston Texans, they selected the tight end out of the Ohio State, Cade Stover. I love Stover's game. He's roughly 6'4", 240 pounds, give or take, and he's already big, strong, and can block at a high level. Watching him at Ohio State, I was shocked to see how agile he was, how good he moved with the ball, you know what I mean? He didn't move like this slow, big, and strong, bulky tight end. No, he moved like a running back and wide receiver. Then I found out he played running back in high school, so it all made sense. He wasn't a guy that put up a lot of big-time stats at Ohio State. I think the past couple of years, he only had about 500 yards receiving each season. However, you got to take into account that's not Ohio State's play style or offense. They're not throwing it to the tight ends like Georgia was with Brock Bowers. Another reason I really like this pick is because I think C.J. Stroud, former Ohio State quarterback, now linking up with former Ohio State tight end, he can use him a lot in the flats, get out some quick passes to him, and it's just going to be really interesting to see how the Houston Texans, they use Cade Stover. Moving along here to the 7th round with the 225th overall pick, Brandon Rice, USC at a wide receiver. He's heading to the Chargers. I think I speak for everybody when I say this. I don't know how he fell to the 7th round. I don't know if he has the plague. I don't know if all these teams, they found some dirt on him the day before the draft, but something, and I mean something, had to happen. It's not even plausible, and you can't even rationalize him falling that far. He was supposed to be a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Worst case in scenario, I'm talking about worst case, 4th, 5th round. How did he fall that far? I don't know. The Chargers getting him for pretty much the equivalent of $10,000 in a Gatorade machine in a locker room. You can't complain about that whatsoever, and this is the definition of a steal. I mean, we were talking about a player that was the wide receiver, one of the better wide receivers, for the Heisman and quarterback and the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft. He's got great size, similar to A.D. Mitchell like we talked about a couple minutes ago, 6'2", 210 pounds. And oh yeah, by the way, since we're talking about him, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers, they absolutely killed it this year. They couldn't have done too much better in this draft. As far as it goes for Brandon Rice here, I'm still shaking my head. Let me know in the comment section, why do you think he fell this far? That's a head scratcher, man. Last but not least, I saved the best for last, and this was my personal favorite player heading into this draft entirely, and I had him circled, and I was waiting to see where he went. With a 245th overall pick, we got the quarterback out of Tulane, Michael Pratt. He's going to the Packers. I'm not going to sit up here and say he should have been a day 2 guy, but I think he should have been selected way faster than what he was. All Michael Pratt did at Tulane is play winning football, and he did it efficiently. And I know some people are going to try to say, well, Matt, he didn't play for a Power 5 team. He played for Tulane. Okay, that's fair. That's a good argument. Here's my rebuttal, though. Michael Pratt and this Tulane team played the #1 overall pick in the NFL draft, Caleb Williams, and beat him in a bowl game in which Michael Pratt outplayed Caleb Williams in that game. In the year 2022, he completed 64% of his passes, had 3,000 passing yards with 27 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions. Last year in 2023, he battled injuries, still had a 65 completion percentage, had 2,400 yards with 22 touchdowns to only 5 interceptions again. And I forgot to throw this in there. In 2022, he had 10 rushing touchdowns, and in 2023, he had 5. He's somewhat of a, I wouldn't say a dual threat quarterback, but he can run when he needs to. I'm going to put it to you like this. I wouldn't be shocked when it's all said and done if Michael Pratt has a better pro career than Bo Nix, who got selected with the 12th overall pick. Obviously, we got to address this, because I know some of you might try to bring this up in the comment section. Well, Matt, he's going to Green Bay. They already have their quarterback in Jordan Love, and yes, they do. I'm looking at this from a long-term perspective. I think Pratt, he is going to be an outstanding backup quarterback in the NFL and a really good bridge quarterback. I'm high on this Pratt kid. 6'3", 220, good passer of the football, can run a little bit. Now, here's the biggest question. Will that translate over to the next level? I guess we'll have to wait and see. Those are my biggest steals of this 2024 NFL draft, and I'm curious. Leave some of your biggest steals in the comment section down below. A little different type of video. I thought it'd be interesting. Let me know your thoughts down below, but Romany.